Hi there, and welcome to Bustthenet. Yes, this is another episode of the Game Changer series. We've got a tactic here that comes from Sandy. He's got a West Brom side in the Premiership who aren't doing too badly. Since he's taken over the club, he's managed to get West Brom to finish second, and then seventh. Last season they finished fourth, and right now they are doing pretty well, third on the table, chasing a Champions League spot. And he sent me the save to give him a few pointers. Now, I'm very impressed with several things from his tactic immediately. First up, he's playing a 4-4-2. Right, I love 4-4-2s. It's a challenge to get them to work right. It's not as hard as it was in FM17. 4-4-2s are definitely a worthwhile tactic to consider. Secondly, his striker is a poacher. Now, one of my favorite roles in the game because simply put, this is a no-nonsense player. You know, when he gets the ball, when he doesn't have any passing options, he looks behind, he looks for somebody close by. He doesn't try anything flashy. If he's got no options, he might run wide. He might, cross the ball into the box. It's a fantastic role. It's a very, very underused role. Not many people use the role. A lot of people seem to favor the advanced forward, the complete forward. I am the opposite. I don't use the complete forward as much in the game. I use the advanced forward, the poacher, the trequartista, the F9, the DLF on support. These are my favorite roles. But the poacher, without a shadow of a doubt, is a fantastic role. And he's gone with a player called Pinamonte. Now, Andre Pinamonte is only 21 years old, and he's already bagged 23 goals in the Premiership. Easily, this guy is going to hit about 30 goals by the time the season is over. I definitely see that because he is a very good all-rounder. Now, as a poacher, you want off the ball, you want acceleration, and you want naturally finishing composure, right? So if you're looking at these attributes, off the ball is fantastic. 17 for a 21-year-old. Now, everybody, please go out there and buy Andre Pinamonte. This guy is I'm going to start looking for him in my save as well because one of the reasons why I like doing Game Changer. You guys come up with some nice players. He's got several things going for him. One, he's already got the move into channels, player instruction. So whichever role you choose for him, he's got this player trait. And what does this mean? He's going to jink in and out between the central defenders. So where two central defenders stand, he's going to try and get in between those spaces. Because he's off the ball is 17, he's always going to be moving around a lot, making himself a very hard player to mark in the box. And with his acceleration of 14, he can get away from defenders. And then you've got his finishing of 17 and 16, first touch of 14, balance at 15. My word, this guy gets the ball at his feet. If you he needs players. He's got options. Right? When you play with him, you're gonna be able to lay off passes to other players. So I am very, very happy that you've chosen Andrea Pinamonte as your poacher. So you're gonna get a lot of goals out of him, and I'm not surprised you already have 23 goals from him. And what's interesting is he's also come up with 10 assists for your tactic. Now before we go into the tactic itself, you've been using a 4-4-2. Let's do an analysis. I like to do analysis of tactics and see how your tactics have done in the last couple of seasons. Now, here, if you look at the last 15 matches, let's drop it to 35 or maybe, 35 matches would be ideal. That will cover most of the season thus far. Your assist locations here. Congratulations, you're one of the very few people out there who've proven that you can actually get assists from the middle of the park. Yeah, I want to give you I just want to get off my chair and applaud. I don't know why you sent in this tactic again. This is one of those mystery game changer episodes I get. When I see a tactic that's already pretty good, and I'm going, why change anything? Maybe you want to look. We want to try and see whether we can have an option B for your tactic. Now, 26 assists from the middle of the park. Now, this is where we start analyzing your gameplay. So this will give us a very good idea that of how you get most of your goals. Now, as you can see, crossing, basically assists coming down from the right flank, and a lot of goal assists from the inside the box. Fantastic. But who are your main assist getters? Now, when I looked at your tactic, the initial reaction was, 26 is a central midfielder, but I haven't looked at your tactic yet, right? So let's look at the squad and look at all the assists. You've got both your strikers bagging 24 assists between them, and then you've got your winger on the right flank getting 10 assists, and then you've got your winger on the left flank with 8 assists, and then you've got central midfielder with only 5 assists. So that's when I started taking a look at your tactic, and I started going through some of your games. So what you've managed to do is managed to get going for you is something like I like to call a double pivot, which is you get both these players working off each other to get the assists. The best double pivots in the game, in my opinion, are the Trequartista Poacher, the F9 Poacher, the DLFS Poacher. Now, and I noticed I didn't mention the advanced forward once. It's because in a 4-4-2, you don't want to use. I personally don't like using an advanced forward because they just go off and then they try to do things on their own, and after that, you wasted all your opportunities. So the combination of a poacher up front, you can even use the target man and a poacher, still can work. But here we look at the attributes of Martinez: strength, passing, and decisions. When you have a F9, these are the ones you're going to zoom in on, and he's got passing, decisions, vision, off the ball. Phenomenal. Good player to have in and around. So these two guys are going to pivot off each other to score goals. Then we're looking at this position here, Koulibaly. You've only told him to get further forward, which is basically when you have possession of the ball, he will act like a CMA. When he doesn't have possession when you don't have the ball, he's going to act like a central midfielder support. Okay, that's basically what's going to happen with that instruction. So you've gone with what I like. Look at this. Brilliant. I love it when people do this. That's it. No PIs. No PIs. This is what I call a no PI system. Yeah. Works. It does work. Look at your results. Your results have been pretty good. Okay. Now let's see. Okay. The results are okay. Not fantastic. They can be better. But in order for them to get better, you need to see what you can extract from your team. Okay, let's look at your Champions League. Your Champions League isn't doing too well. Here you played in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid. In this group, you are in the knockout stages. You managed to get to the knockout stages. You play Galatasaray, which is at the point where you sent me the save. So, talk about giving me a challenge. Okay, you finished second in the table group. You lost to Atletico Madrid twice, 5-2, 0-4. Okay, and Atletico Madrid are also playing a 4-4-2. So what do we do in a situation like that? We actually go into the match and then we look at their highlights and try to identify what is it about your tactic that might be lacking. So first up, here we see Atletico Madrid with the ball. We see your overall shape. We want to see two things. I want to see what happens when your central midfielders go up and close down. As you can see, this guy Koulibaly moved up very quickly, and you immediately expose your back line, right? So that's just one highlight. So I'm looking out for things like how easily is your backline exposed, how easy is it for your players to find each other with passes. As you can see there, the player tried to find a through pass in for Pinamonte. That didn't work very well. You lose possession of the ball. The play moves all the way back. Your players have to go back and try and win the ball back. They move the ball through the transitions quickly, but then you get, it stops there again. So what we do here is we want to try and get the transition to go smoothly from defense midfield to attack, and we have to identify a zone in which we can win the ball. Here, you didn't win the ball in this zone. Instead, they managed to get the play to move seamlessly through your half, and they got themselves into a goal scoring opportunity. So we have to address one problem, which is you were not able to break down play here. And this is right now the thing that we have to address is if we can get your tactic to consistently win the ball and make it hard for another team to find space in the middle, that's what we want to do. So we found one problem, which is when you lose the ball, or when the opponent has the ball and they're moving from defense midfield to attack, you can't seem to win the ball here. So we have to fix that. That was the reason why you conceded the first goal. So we step out of this now, and then I will now start looking more into things like the analysis, like what kind of goals, how did Atletico Madrid score most of the goals. This is when I recommend you go into highlights like this, and then you start addressing it. So here you've got Koke, he's playing the ball. As you can see, your two central midfielders are here. It's exposed again, and the ball gets through to Origi. Your defenders, this is an advanced forward, and they're out of position already, and Origi was able to score the goal. Okay, why did this happen? Your defensive line. Secondly, it was too easy for them to find space. So how do you fix this problem? You fix this problem by getting your team to be a bit more tighter when you're defending. So you make it harder. You get like very disciplined banks of four. So again here, you've got them attacking. Notice your banks of four aren't tight. You got one whole bank four. There's a lot of space here. So Weiser gets the ball. These two are out of position again. Diego Costa gets to the ball. And again, the moment you've got one central midfielder moving here, or if you have a defender moving here, immediately opens up the space again. And there we go. Origi gets another opportunity to score a goal. So we're not tight enough when we defend. So we're going to have to try and address those problems. And now we look at another goal. This is a counter attack. You're out of position anyway. So I would just chalk this off and forget all about it. I'm more interested in preventing goals from open play. I'm avoiding looking at counter attacks because we want to try and win somewhere on the pitch. Here we have another highlight. Okay, this is actually from a throw-in that you took. All right, and you lost possession of the ball. Notice your positioning of your players. Okay, and notice they have got two strikers versus your two defenders. That's when he gets the ball, you're in trouble. Griezmann gets the ball, and he plays the ball into space. Or Diego Costa, your boys are chasing after players, and it's another goal. Okay, so your boys are giving up too much space, so we have to fix that. All right, so let's look at your tactic. Now the second part is to look at your tactic and come up with a strategy for us to tighten up the spaces. Okay, now I love the fact that you're not using PIs. That's fair enough, but here you got retain possession and push higher up and close down more. This is the reason why you if this is the tactic you were using, which I'm not sure, this is probably the reason why this happened. Again, I'm looking at all three copies of the tactic, and all three copies of your tactic have this close down more PI. Close down more affects everybody on the pitch, so they all will step up. And this is what I was seeing. I was seeing Santi step up too early. When he steps up, this guy steps up. When this guy steps up, the whole backline is exposed. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a different version of your tactic for the match against Galatasaray, which is in 10 days' time. And the whole goal here is not to maintain our shape, because we want to be defensively. We want to create a disciplined banks of four, and then use the strengths that you have up front to score your goals. Essentially, when we looked into the tactic, he's taken a minimalist approach to tactics. Now, a minimalist approach can work, but you have to remember one thing. Attributes are going to be king. So you're going to have to make sure that for those positions that they're playing in, those guys are good. I mean, then it becomes a question of whether you are just you're doing okay. There's nothing wrong with it. If you can get your players, if you can create a tactic that's well thought out, then it's fine. Now here, the only problem I have with your tactic is close down more and push high up. Retain possession is fine. So in certain of your matches, if your tactic does work, just remove the push high up and close down more. What I would instead do is do a high block, right, or a medium block. Get these guys to do the blocking, and get these guys up top to do the blocking. Tell these guys to hold their position, and then tell this guy to close down less, in fact, and then play with a team. These shouts can work, control. You could even tell them to be a bit more disciplined in their shape. But here, what we noticed in some of the games was they were getting out of shape too easily. So what I've done is I've created a different version of the tactic. You have to remember, when I am trying to extract the best from players, especially if I want to overachieve, then I do have PIs. Because then I'll apply PIs, because I need them to play in a specific way so that they can, I can maximize the way we use the ball, if that makes any sense. So we've got a slightly different version of that. Here I notice you have the central midfielder who to get further forward. So I've gone with a roaming playmaker. He might roam from position, which is why we hold some players back. We've got a defensive fullback who's going to be in this position. We've got a winger attacking these spaces. We've got a roaming playmaker. I've told him to mark tighter, tackle harder, close down more. We're not closing down a lot more, but just more. Here, the central midfielder on defense, I've removed close down much more. He's just going to close down more. And then we've got a winger on attack who's being told to close down more, right? So he's just going to take one notch to close down more. And we've got this guy closing down more. Now, this means that these guys are going to be doing the harrying. At the back, he's been told to close down much less. And this guy will be told to close down less as well. We want them to hold their position. We don't want them to overcommit. Then we got these central defenders. My keeper, your keeper has got kicking of 16 and vision of 11 and decisions of 15. So he's a sweeper keeper on attack. So he's going to bring the ball out and he's going to look at launching the ball into space because you've got Barco attacking the spaces. His off the ball is only 13. If it was any better, it would be ideal. Then on the left flank, we've got a playmaker. We told him to take more risky passes, tackle harder, close down more, dribble less with the ball. Here he's been told to pass a shorter, few risky passes. I'm bringing this mark specific position. He's also not marking specific position. We don't want them to mark anything. Just we'll do zonal defending here. Top, nothing here. Here he's been told to close down much more, tackle harder, mark tighter. Backline, no differences. DFB, sit narrow, run wide with ball. This wing back has been told to sit narrow, but he will run wide with ball because he's a wing back on attack. At the whack, we have distribute and take short kicks. So this is the tactic that we're using for our match against Galatasaray. Galatasaray felt the brunt of your attack coming down from the right flank. You scored one goal from open play through the wingers' hard work down the right flank, and you scored two more goals from set pieces. So I definitely won't change anything about your set pieces. The final result was 3-0 to West Bromwich Albion. Very comfortable win over Galatasaray. Our second match was going to feature a more tougher game against Manchester United. Against United, I decided to do something different. This time around, I swapped the F9 and the poacher's positions. This will help the poacher work closely with the winger on attack. We expect the wing back on attack to bomb down the left flank, and this is going to be a risk because if they come with you with a wing back on the right flank and an attacking winger on the right flank, then your left flank will be under a lot of pressure. And it's as it turned out against United, that's exactly what happened. So as we were building up our attack down the left flank, you notice we lost the ball to Lindelof, and it opened down spaces down the right flank. They came down the right flank and opened the goal scoring through Paulo Dybala. It kind of threw me off my game, but we didn't change too much at the start. That only happened once in the game. So the question was, how are we going to react? We changed the tactic around and we started to play it on structured. We also dropped retained possession. We pushed the defensive line higher up the pitch. We went fairly narrow to help with ball retention as we move up the pitch. This would reduce the impact the wingers are going to play on the right flank, but it would help us keep the ball a bit more effectively. Well, we did make a couple of mistakes due to poor passing, but I think that generally the changes were a lot more effective at helping us keep the ball. We had some really good opportunities that they failed to bury, but there's something to be said about your set pieces. The equalizer came from a set piece, which I was pretty excited about. You do have players who are physically very good in the air. We made one more change. I was thinking that you can definitely play with a DLF on support with a poacher. And because with the DLF on support, you can get away with losing the ball through dribbling too much. But before the change even kicked in, West Bromwich got the winner. This time, United failed to make anything from the attack that they launched, and West Brom followed that up with a quick counter of their own. Chadley playing the ball to Pinamonte through to Martinez beating the keeper with a great finish. So the combination play between both the players working out very well, and your boys ended up winning the match 2-1. Even with the changes that I placed into the tactic, it did make a slight difference, but what you can do with your tactic is still use a DLF on support or a F9. The tactic you are using is standard flexible with retain possession and push high up and close down more. I definitely am not a big fan of pushing high up with the close down more instruction, especially if you're going to play on a slower tempo as well with retain possession. It's a kind of a high risk maneuver. Furthermore, in some of the tougher matches, your team was losing the ball because of you left the decision making up to the players. So what I would recommend is, if you want to overachieve in some of your matches, then consider the use of play instructions judiciously with some of your players. You can get away with not using them, but a first step would be to not use push high up, close down more. Instead, apply your closing down instructions a bit more specifically and go from there before you attempt play instruction changes. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Game Changer. If you found it useful, please drop me a note on Twitter at Bustthenet or addicted2fm.com, my website. Once again, I'd like to thank all my patrons for their continued support of this channel. You make these kind of shows possible for the rest of the community. You guys take care, have a good one, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.